What is the worst, scariest thing that has woken you up? I've told this before, but my son has taken to sleepwalking. He used to just stand by the bed, silently, until I'd snap awake and see his silhouette looming over me. Now, he's taken to turning on the lights when he's sleepwalking. I woke up one night, and he was standing there, turning the lights on and off, completely zoned out. I get him back to bed, and I think, fuck this, I'm sleeping downstairs for the rest of the night. Around 3 o'clock I wake up. All of the lights downstairs are on. Children are the scariest things in horror movies, and real life apparently. I've never understood why children have become such common antagonists in horror films. I'd be much more afraid of a grown-ass man than a little girl I can kick across the room. It's because horror movies are about eliciting a reaction, and one of the best ways to do that is to taint things that we think are usually innocent and pure. Put a demon in a kid and you've defiled something that we hold dear, so it makes you uneasy. Kind of off topic, but I just wanted to say fuck that kid in the Babadook. My math teacher calling out my name 6+ times in a room of 20 other students, and me slowly waking up while mumbling shhhh be quiet, not realizing that the voice I was hearing wasn't, in fact, in a dream. Oh yeah, I remember waking up to my gym teacher shouting my name, but thankfully nobody else was in the closet with us. Wait. Is that illegal? I will make it legal. Was woken at 3 AM by a drunk man trying to open the external door into my room. It's not something you expect to happen when you live out of town, surrounded by paddocks. Oh, and there was also the time I woke up to a possum on my side table. That wasn't pleasant for either party. Wake up, see possum, possum sees you, you're both staring for what feels like an eternity, but it's actually like 2.5 seconds. You scream, the possum screams, and maybe poops. You run for the door, the possum runs into a window, you try to unlock the door, he's scratching at the window. My daughter was a sleepwalker. There is something so indescribably creepy about waking up to a 4-year-old standing at your bedside, just staring. She wouldn't make a sound, she'd let her stinky breath wake me up. Then once I recovered from the shock of her being there, she'd speak in tongues because she wasn't really awake. I'd assure her she was asleep, and escort her back to her room to be tucked in, never taking my eyes off her for fear her head would swivel around fully and she'd laugh maniacally at me. Scared the piss out of me every time. 600 years ago you would have thought that she's possessed by a demon. That's how scary this is. One important preface: at the time I lived alone, no roommates. One time I was taking a nap in my bedroom, happened to have a really horrible nightmare, and then woke up to some strange man standing in my bedroom shining a flashlight in my face while I laid in bed. Both of us freaked the fuck out. It turned out he was the maintenance guy for the apartment complex I lived in, finally responding to a maintenance request I had put in like 6 months before. He thought the apartment was empty, then heard me thrashing around from the nightmare and went and looked into the dark bedroom, blackout curtains, with his flashlight to see what was making the noise. After both of us recovered from our near heart attacks, he was extremely apologetic, and he did finally fix my garbage disposal, but Jesus Christ, that was fucking terrifying for a few seconds. What do you expect? Your maintenance request has been received. Please be home between June and September to accommodate our technician. A few years back I hear a thud in the hallway, and my 4-year-old daughter screaming in pain. She had fallen and gotten a small but deep cut just above her left eyebrow. When I got out to the hallway, her face, hands and pajamas were covered in blood, and she was holding her hands against her face. I thought she lost her eye. A quick trip to the ER for a couple of stitches and she was right as rain, but I gained almost all of my grey hair that night. Oh man, nothing like your kid bleeding copious amounts of blood to get you into superhero mode while giving you all the grey hair. Our only emergency room trip for my son was when he busted the back of his head open on a shelf. Like he had a red third eyeball on the back of his head. Cue the scene at the ER with 5 EMTs standing around helping calm him down while a doctor came in and just quickly stapled it back together. In January of this year, a car ran into my bedroom at 1 AM. Those asking for more info, basically I had just gotten home from visiting my parents, and I went to bed around 12:30 AM. At 1:04 AM a car ran into my bedroom connected half bathroom. My bathroom is about 3 square feet, so that was completely destroyed, and the car was partially in my room also. My roommate and I went outside after calling 911 to search for the driver. Thankfully he was okay. He was laying on the ground about 20 feet away from a car. He had empty beer cans in his car and pill bottles. He told us he was 25, but we soon found out from police he was 19. This whole situation has been a mess because my landlord wanted to do all the repairs himself. I just moved back into my room last week and had been living in the living room for the past 2 months. I'm glad to finally have a bedroom again, but sleeping in that room still makes me nervous at night. I still can't use my bathroom after 10 PM because it makes me nervous. It'll be fine eventually, I just need to get used to it. My dog barking only once in a low voice. He will generally go wild if someone is in front of the door or passes through the hallway. Then sitting up in a way he never does and staring at the door. Nothing happened. It was scary as fuck cause it was everything that he usually does not do. Things that are off are scarier than grotesque things that happen emo. It's annoying that dogs bark when someone is outside, but I guarantee they have saved thousands from robbery or home invasions when the perpetrator hears the dog. I once saw a career burglar say that a dog was his #1 deterrent when choosing a house. He could get around alarms, bars, people sleeping in the house, but a barking dog you have to be prepared to kill. Not only did he not have the stomach for that, but it requires bringing a weapon that makes it a much more serious crime. Anyone here have one of those robotic vacuums? When the power goes out, those fuckers start wandering around lost, bumping into shit. Absolutely terrifying thing to be woken up by at 3 in the morning. I had one of those. I think their homing sensor timer thing has got tripped during a thunderstorm. My old Rottweiler mix lost her shit. She was going senile and anything out of routine was terrifying, and broke it. I no longer have a Roomba. God rest its tiny, cleanly soul. My buddy and I were camping and saw a bear, so we decided to sleep in his car. I was still worried about the bear, so it took forever to fall asleep. Well, right after I fell asleep, I woke up to screams and something grabbing my face. I immediately started crying, knowing that a bear was about to rip my face off. Then I realized it was my friend having a night terror. I was livid. I imagine the bear was also annoyed by 2 random people sleeping in his car. Sounds like you're the one who got the night terror. A 6.0 earthquake at 3 o'clock in the morning. Probably the most helpless I have ever felt. I expected my ceiling fan to fall on me. When you're lying in bed with no protection nearby, you basically just have to hold on and hope everything is alright. Mine was similar. 7:8 AM. My first night of living alone in my apartment. All I had was my bed, and I thought my building was going to collapse. Mine was similar as well. 6:2, 11 PM, but it turned out to be 2 fat people getting it on upstairs. A 6.0 earthquake at 3 o'clock in the morning. Probably the most helpless I have ever felt. I expected my ceiling fan to fall on me. When you're lying in bed with no protection nearby, you basically just have to hold on and hope everything is alright. Mine was similar. 7:8 AM. My first night of living alone in my apartment. All I had was my bed, and I thought my building was going to collapse. Mine was similar as well. 6.2, 11 PM, but it turned out to be 2 fat people getting it on upstairs. My 2-year-old standing over me with a kitchen knife. He wanted sliced apples at 4 o'clock in the morning, and somehow managed to climb up on table and pull out a knife. Now we keep them in the cupboard. Gonna have to get a whole new kid chief, maybe lock his door or something. he'll still end up beside the bed. When I was in college, I woke up with a man on top of me. We had been texting earlier in the day and planned to meet up, but it got late so I went home and went to sleep. He was angry that I stood him up, so he climbed my balcony and started fooling around with me in my sleep. It was the worst way to wake up. I hope you call the police to report a sexual assault and trespassing.